I was a student in South Africa studying engineering, we were based directly opposite the jewellery department, and yeah, I just used to walk by and see everyone making jewellery, and I thought it looked like an interesting thing to do. Luckily a friend of mine was doing the course there, so yeah, he kind of let me in, and I never really looked back after that. I was kind of hooked on the jewellery thing. Well, I used to have a workshop in Henley, but just a workshop, and we were making a lot of jewellery for some, high-end retail stores, and the space became available, and I just thought, well, why not? Let's just have a try at meeting the clients ourselves, and yeah, it worked out pretty well, because I think when you have the experience of being able to make jewellery, people kind of appreciate that. Henley's a good town for meeting people who want jewellery made as well. It's more about what people want themselves, and we turn that into reality. There's so much jewellery around, but everyone has their sort of personal take on things.
Hello, how are you?
All right, you go?
Yes, good, thank you. I have seen some rings in the window that I'd like to take a closer look at, but I wanted to talk about.
You might see a stone that is the perfect shape, but not the right colour. The same with the ring, it might be just slightly out of proportion to your finger, and we try and make that perfect for you. So the idea is to be able to bring people's ideas to reality. We offer them the professional advice, but we try not to take over too much, because it really is about what they want.
These are the ones on the top, the sparkles that I really like.
Right, so what do you think of the combination of the black and the white?
Really like that, it's really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
The uniqueness of Studio 35 is you have the chance to create what you really want yourself, and we do have lots of items that are ready to leave the shop. If you see them, you can purchase them. But people have their own personal take on what jewellery should look like, and that's what we try and produce, is to try and make an item that they feel really happy about. And I think that is something that is quite unique. Some people do make jewellery, but you speak to us directly and we take you through the process of making jewellery, which is quite special, and throughout the process you have opportunities to make tiny changes. So what do you think, Fab?
Yeah, I think that's really good. I really like the way this
And
stays.
eventually you end up with something that is exactly what you wanted.
That's perfect.
The stage is drawn in 2D, a technical drawing, because you need to put in precise measurements, and if it's documented, it's right. You can't really sort of just think it up in your head. Once that's documented and all the stone sizes are checked, we move on to the CAD process. The person who's doing the CAD, whether it's me or Louise, will follow that drawing and punch in the numbers. At the lathe stage, we need to make sure that we have the right size tubing, so the finger size, which is an important thing. It will determine the inside of the ring diameter. That's selected and placed on the actual chuck. We then choose the right drill bits, and then we just let the machine run. The machine is programmed with tool paths, so it will follow what the computer says to do, and gives it the finished detail that you need to be able to take that off and then turn that into the actual platinum. Once the lathe is finished cutting, you actually have a hard copy of your numbers and your thoughts and your program. And then you can drop the stones into them and just check that they all work. We like to make the claws by hand. The metal it's nice and dense and compact. We then shape the claws, and obviously attach them to the body of the ring, which is called the shank. I mean, obviously with the developments of technology, there's things like lasers which we never had before. It does make it a little bit easier to position things, get them in place before you solder. Once they're positioned in place, we can solder them and they sort of fix there permanently. Nice and strong, and hopefully will do their job in protecting the stone from falling out or against any damage. Once the claws are on, they're moved to a setting stage. Obviously there's a little bit of cleaning up that goes into before the setter does his magic. Platinum is quite a dense metal and really difficult to get into corners, and so I think a polish, it's really quite useful to get that done beforehand. There's quite a lot of phrasing out of metal, placing stones in, making sure that they are the right size. And the metal then gets folded over the stones to secure them in place, and the metal is then compacted down. Stone setting is probably something that takes quite a few years to master. A really good setter has got great attention to detail and needs to be very precise. Every stone is different in size and shape, and needs to be kind of individually worked with to make it secure. Diamonds are a hard material to rub and to abrade, but they can be quite brittle. So when you're squashing metal over a diamond and onto it, in fact, you do worry about that. I make it sound quite easy, but it is actually quite a difficult job and requires a lot of patience, a lot of attention to detail, and can often make or break a piece of jewellery. Once the stones are carefully placed into position, we have to polish the ring. It requires a number of different grades of sandpaper, and then a number of different grades of polishing compound in order to bring it to life. Platinum is particularly difficult to have that done properly. It's quite a dense material, and all the marks do tend to drag, so you have to go down varying degrees of sandpaper in order to make it really nice and smooth. And once that's done, you can then take it onto the polishing mop, which has another 3 grades, and after that, hopefully, we have a good finish. Once we've done the polishing, we obviously need to give it a nice, good clean, and we have an ultrasonic, which helps with just removing all the polishing compound, and it's brushed out, and then it'll be perfect after that. And the stones are then finally checked just to make sure that nothing's moved in that process. And then it's boxed up and ready to present to the client. I mean, it is nice when you have a ring that is brand new to be presented in a box and not just handed over the counter. I think it's a great thing when you open a box to see what's inside there. It's part of the magic. You've obviously done the hard work. You've hopefully created the right item for the people, and just to see their joy is, I suppose, the thing that makes it a special job to do. It's creating something that's never been there before, that is there and is extremely special for someone, and that's what you've done as an individual and as a team, and that is what makes us do this job.